Hi, I'm Tiffany with New Perspective Fitness, and we're going to be covering balance today. Initially, we need to have bare feet for the warm-up, and I'm holding these balls because that's what we're going to be utilizing to open up and prime the feet for our balance exercises. Up first, you need a medium-sized ball. So that could be a tennis ball, it could be a firm lacrosse ball, this is a foam ball, or it could be a spiky ball. It's whatever your preference is. And then we need a tiny ball. So an example would be a golf ball or a tiny foam ball. This is part of our active aging series geared specifically for older adults. So make sure you have bare feet, grab a chair, grab your ball of choice, the medium and the small, and let's get moving. I am seated forward in my chair. We have our medium ball, and we're going to begin with vertical rolls on your right foot. I'm going to start the clock for 1 minute here. Your goal is to apply downward pressure and try to get all aspects of your foot. So you can think of the most outside of the foot, you can think of the direct dead center of the foot, and then the medial, the inside of the foot where that big toe and the arch is. So your goal is just to really apply as much downward pressure as you can tolerate. And this is increasing circulation. So rolling the ball on your foot, it's really going to enhance our blood flow, and it's going to warm up our muscles, and it's going to prepare them for our balance activity that we have coming up, and it's hopefully going to make us a little bit more successful. It's also enhancing your mobility of the foot. So the more mobile you are, the better you are to articulate through your foot when we're trying to balance. We have about 10 more seconds here, and then we'll be moving over to our other foot. Okay, so now with me, I want you to take the ball underneath your left foot. Same goal. We're here for 1 minute, and we're applying as much downward pressure as we can tolerate. We're just scanning that foot. We're moving forward and back. Since this is a warm-up, we're just keeping the movement going. This can also really help with muscle tension. A lot of us have very stagnant, tight feet because of wearing shoes, and so we're just trying to really mobilize and warm up this area. You might feel most sensitive near the arch of the foot, or if you've ever had an injury. I've had some clients that have had some injuries in their, they have a tendonitis in their Achilles tendon, and so they're acknowledging that they're a little bit more sore near their heel. We have, again, probably about 10 more seconds here, and then we'll move on to our next release exercise on our right foot. Okay, so keeping with the medium ball, go over to your right foot, and now I'm looking for a zigzag pattern. So from your toes all the way down to your heel, I want you to move forward and back. Now, this is challenging. I do this all the time, but I remember when I was new to it, I felt very uncoordinated, and I felt a little sloppy. It felt like I couldn't get good downward pressure. So, just be patient with yourself and keep practicing. I like to really hone in on my arch area that seems to be quite tender. But it's also nice to try to wake up through our feet. Try to think of spreading your toes when you are in the toe area, and just keep moving from the toes all the way to the heel. We have about 20 more seconds. Again, try to apply that downward pressure. And breathe deeply as you're doing this prepping work. All right, move over to your left foot now. Same goal. Move from your heel, all the way to the toes. We're seated on purpose here because I didn't want, you could do this standing, right? But this is not our balance work yet. I just really wanted to mobilize the fascia. We're trying to wake up that connective tissue and the muscles and the ligaments of our foot here. when we do this, it's also improving our proprioception. So remember, that's the ability of you to find yourself in space. So when I think of proprioception, I think of being on a balance board, and we're not doing that today, but even just standing on one foot, your body is going to have to constantly recalibrate. And this is just waking up the sensory of our foot, and it's going to help make balance a little bit easier, hopefully. Okay, at this time, we're going to be moving on to your tiny ball of choice. So grab your tiny ball. So I would like you to place this underneath your right foot. What we're doing now is we're trying to separate our toes. So I have the ball between my big toe and my middle toe, now my middle and third, my third and fourth, and then my fourth and pinky. And then you're just gonna keep moving through, separating 2 toes at a time. Sometimes it seems like 3 toes, but you're really just trying to poke the ball in between 2 toes, okay? So I'm gonna keep us here for about 30 more seconds. And just be aware of your body. Is there any area where you feel that you're very restricted? For me, it's my third and fourth toe, where I'm feeling a lot of restriction. And I feel really good between my big toe and my second toe, but you're just acknowledging where you might be tight. We have about 10 more seconds here. You could move at any pace that feels comfortable for you. Okay, now we'll separate the toes with the left foot. So here we go. Start between the big toe and the middle toe and the third, third and fourth, fourth and pinky. Also, I want you to ask yourself a question. Are you noticing a difference between one side and the next? I am right-handed and I'm right foot dominant, and my right foot is so much tighter than my left. So this would be an indication that when I have more time, your workouts don't always have to be balanced. I should put a little bit more effort into my foot that's tighter. Okay, done right there. Now for the challenge. I also think this is fun. So we're going to be strengthening the bottom of our foot, the arch, and our toes by trying to pick up and release this tiny ball. So with your right foot, I'm gonna put 30 seconds on the clock, and I want you to try to grip this ball and pick it up. If you are nice and warm, this should feel easy. And the more you do these release exercises, you are going to be very successful. At first, you might not be able to pick up that ball, and it's gonna be so frustrating, but that's okay. Just stick with this, please. And with time, you'll find that hopefully you'll be able to pick it up, or you'll be able to hold it for just a little moment longer. Okay, now go over to your other side, please, your other foot. Again, when we work one side and then the other, I always want you to be doing, a constant comparison with your own body. If you're tighter in one foot on your own, I want you to put more work into that tighter side. Because if we have imbalances in our body, that can lead to compensations and then injury over time. So we're trying to prevent ourselves from injury by keeping a nice balanced body. And this is just helping to strengthen the muscles on the bottom of our foot, and they play a key role in helping us stabilize. All right, so at this time, it's time for a water break. If you have a foot injury or if you have a condition where wearing shoes where you need additional support, I would recommend you put shoes on at this time. Otherwise, we can be barefoot for this entire workout today, and that's gonna make the exercise a little bit harder. So grab some water, and then we'll get going on our first balance exercise. Welcome back from your water break, and now we're moving on to our first balance series. Our first exercise is half squats. I recommend being behind a chair so that you have balance assistance because we're just warming up still. The goal of this exercise is to stay fairly upright with your torso, and we're focusing on bringing our knees forward, knees towards the toes. I am waking up your quads and also ankle dorsiflexion. So what is ankle dorsiflexion? Ankle dorsiflexion is the ability of your ankles to bend and your knees to move towards the toes. You might have heard in other videos or, throughout your entire career of, health and fitness, don't let your knees go over the toes. But that actually is a disservice to our bodies. Our knees go over our toes when we navigate stairs, when we step down a curb. So we should be able to safely load our body and dorsiflex the ankle. Your breath doesn't matter with this move, so please just continue to breathe as you execute these half squats to your range of motion, the depth that feels good for you. If you have osteoarthritis of the knees, maybe you're not going as deep, and that's okay. But with time, or if you're having a really good day, because I know there's ebbs and flows with osteoarthritis, if you're not having a lot of inflammation, you might be more successful with your depths. We're gonna do 2 more. You're really feeling it in the thighs and then the ankle too. 1 more. Good, so that was a nice dynamic move. Now we're going to go into a little bit more dynamic, but also a static hold. Again, hold onto a chair, hold onto a wall. This is called a half kneeling ankle dorsiflexion exercise. You must keep your heel down, and I want you to drive your knee towards your toes as far as you can go. Feel almost like that packing sensation in the front of the ankle, and then release. All right, so kind of a pumping motion here. So falls often occur during activities that require ankle dorsiflexion. So again, think stepping off that curve, think navigating stairs. Stiff ankles can really hinder your body's ability to support itself and to properly make sure that you're nice and stable. And so if we can increase your ankle dorsiflexion, we're gonna do 1 more and then hold. Then it can actually help with your balance. So now hold right here and just breathe deeply. When you breathe deeply, especially during a stretch, it can actually help tap into your parasympathetic nervous system, which is more relaxing, and it lets your body know this is a safe space and place for me to be in. So just breathe deeply and hold. Nice. Now we'll do the other side. And as I have already said, be doing a little bit of comparison from side to side. If you have a stiffer side, you want to work that side more on your own. Here we go. We're driving the knee forward towards the toes. This is increasing ankle dorsiflexion. And then we're releasing. Go forward. You must keep that heel down. So I'm driving the heel down as my knee is driving forward. We're going to do 3 more ankle pumps. And then we'll go into that static hold. Oh, we're relaxing through that body. And 1 more repetition. Now we go into that hold. All right, breathe deeply. I put my hand here sometimes to add a little bit of pressure. You don't have to do that. I just wanted to get into it more. Breathe. Keep that heel down. Don't let that heel lift. Okay. At this time, I wanted to dynamically work on our foot and ankle complex, and we're going to do something called the zigzag. Now, if you have a lot of balance issues, you actually might want to be behind a chair and your zigzag pattern will be very small. So here it is. This is what you're gonna do. You're gonna take your toes and then your heels, and then your toes and then your heels. So if you wanted to be behind a chair, you'd only move a little bit, and then you'd have to move in the other direction. If you don't need assistance with this like me, we could use a wider range, okay? I'm gonna put 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. So again, this is just strengthening the small muscles of your ankles, even your hips and your feet. Now, you could stay pretty close to the ground. Your arms could be out if that feels fine for you. We have 30 more seconds. And it's okay if you're feeling fatigue. If you need to take a break, you might want to work your way up to the 60 seconds. You could also exaggerate this movement and work your muscles even more. So what I mean is lift the heels up high, lift the toes up high. That's a little bit harder on balance too, because it's the range of motion is higher and you're having to be slower in the move. So the amount of time that you're unsupported is a longer amount of time. Good, that's 1 minute there. Good job on that zigzag. Now we're going to do standing hip abduction. It's working the frontal plane. If you need balance assistance, I recommend that you are directly behind your chair. So you would look like this behind a chair. I am not going to set myself behind a chair because I want you to be able to see the move. We're working just the outer thigh muscles, and I want you to stay in this front line just like you would if you were doing a jumping jack. So here we are, and I want you to take your right leg to the side. So I'm gonna take my arm behind me, and I'm taking my arm to the side. If you have a chair in front of you, you're like this. Look at my right foot. I'm keeping it elevated, and I am keeping all of my weight on my left leg. This is strengthening the stabilizing muscles on my left leg. So specifically the glute medius is working glute minimus. These are the second and the third largest butt muscles that really help stabilize your hips and pelvis and even your knee when we're walking, running, doing our balance exercises. We're gonna do 5 more. I usually exhale on the lifting phase and then inhale when I come down. Also, when you're behind your chair, try not to lean excessively to the left. So maybe you're not lifting very high because you're not trying to cheat and go like that, okay? 1 more. All right, so now we're going to be standing on our right leg. So we're stabilizing through the right outer thigh muscles. We're still working the left side too, okay? So you have your chair or not, and I want you to work that frontal plane. So we're just lifting to the side. You're feeling work here, but also in the stabilizing leg. And we're just exhaling on that lifting phase. Again, I want you to do that comparison between your sides. If you're noticing that one side is not as stable, you need to work that weaker side more. And when I say the side is not as stable, I'm concerned about the down leg. So if you're really struggling with your left leg lifting, it could actually be an issue with your right side. It might be an issue with your knee or your hip. Exhaling as we lift. 5 more. When you do balance exercises, really do try to hone into deep breathing. Focus on a stable object in your room. So a lot of times you might not be looking at me, you're looking at something in your room. Just listen to my cues. Great. So after working that frontal plane and standing abduction, we are going to take it into an alternating march. So high marches, this requires coordination between your legs and your core, and this coordination is really critical in maintaining our balance and stability and preventing falls, especially if you're on uneven surfaces. So what we're going to do is you would want balance assistance on one side because our knees are having to drive up, okay? So what that would look like is you can decide the side that you would have balance assistance, or you could even have balance assistance on both, okay? And we're going to begin with just a 1-to-1 ratio. I want you to drive your right heel up towards hip height if you can make it that high, or even a little higher, and down, and then the left knee and hip up. So this is called a standing march. The chair is there if you need it, and if you don't, even better, that's great. We always want to be safe when we do our balance exercises, and if you find that your foot is coming down hard and you're kind of losing your balance, then you really do need to hold on. All of these movements should be slow and controlled, and just use as much assistance as you need in order to match me. We're going to do 2 more rounds at this pace. One more each. Good. Now, if you need to stay at that pace, that's fine. You're going to do another round at that 1-to-1 ratio. If you're ready for more, we're going to add a 3-count hold, starting with driving the right knee up. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and down. And now the left. 3, 2, 1, and down. As you do this exercise, 3, 2, 1, and down. I want you to imagine that there's a string on your head. Lift the left leg up, 3, 2, 1, and down. And someone is pulling on that string, and we're very, very tall through our spine. Right leg up, 3, 2, 1, down. Left leg up, 3, 2, 1, down. We're gonna do 1 more each. Again, you're at the 3-count hold, 3, 2, 1, and down. Finishing with the left, 3, 2, 1, and down. Great. And that's really important because even during our, when we're walking, 40% of that cycle is on a single leg. So even to improve your walking gait, balance exercises are critical. Before our water break, we're gonna do a single leg cross tap. So this exercise is trying to mimic scenarios in life where you might have to reach for objects when you're standing or walking. What made me think of this is sometimes I'll have my hands full and I'll be like, hold the door, and my kids do not, in fact, hold the door, and I have to like kick my leg out in front of me and balance. Or sometimes like in the shower, if I'm like shaving, I'm gonna have that leg across. I know that only applies to some people, but you know, there are scenarios where you're just not in this perfect sagittal plane or frontal plane, you're actually crossing over. So that's what we're simulating with this exercise. The single leg cross tap. You will take your right foot. All I ask is that you reach and tap in front, and then you return. So we can actually place our foot down. So give me a tap, return. Chair is there if you need it. Focus on a stable object in your room. Try to be very, very upright with your torso. We're gonna do 5 more. When you do this exercise, imagine someone's trying to snap a picture of you when your leg is crossed over, and then you return. So we're gonna take a picture and then back. So just a little pause. 2 more. And 1 more. Great. Now we're gonna work the other side. So again, you still have balance assistance if you need it. Left leg, cross in front, and return. A controlled body can move slowly. If you feel that you're not as balanced, you'll notice that your movements are very jerky and very fast. And there's a time and a place for speed drills, just not right now with this particular exercise. We're gonna do 5 more. This also is like simulating that moment of unsupport where you're putting on your shoes or putting on your pants. Hopefully you're putting on your shoes sitting down, but sometimes that's not always the case. We put ourselves in like precarious positions sometimes and we're like, oh, why did I do that? And 1 more. Awesome. All right, so now it's time for a water break, and then we're going to be coming back with another series. We're back and we're going to be moving on to figure 8 walking. So we have been utilizing a chair. I need you to grab another chair. You might need to pause the video. I need you to grab another object. I'm using a foam roller. It could be an ottoman or another chair. And we're going to place these objects about 3 to 4 feet apart. And we're going to do a figure 8 walk. So grab your object and we're going to get going. I want you to begin on one end, and we're going to walk around these objects, creating a figure 8. And I want you to look forward as you do this exercise. We're gonna be here for 1 minute. Ready, and begin. So the reason why I'm telling you to look forward is because when you look down, it can change your center of gravity and actually make you more likely to fall. So even though we want to look down to make sure the terrain is safe, I know that when I am walking, I'm looking forward but out in front of me, and I'm assessing the terrain to make sure I'm not going to trip on anything. And this goes for more when you're not in your home, but out and about and you're assessing sidewalks, like, is the sidewalk safe? This exercise constantly requires you to adjust your movement and orientation around objects, and we're trying to be pretty tight around the objects and we circle them, and this will improve your agility. Great, that was 1 minute there. Now we're going to be moving on for standing hip extension. So I would ask that you grab a chair, or you could be near a wall. I'm gonna bring my chair forward here. Standing hip extension is working the posterior chain. So we're working the glute maximus and the hamstrings. I'm going to place my hands on my chair, and starting with my right leg, I am going to press my leg back only to the degree that I can lift, and then I'm going to bring my foot back down. I'm keeping it a little bit elevated, and when we hover this right foot, it is going to make your left leg work hard. So the cool thing about this exercise is, yes, we're strengthening the right leg as we press it back, but really the balancing is happening on the left stabilizing leg. You're feeling the muscles within your foot and ankle complex. You're really working your glute medius. We're gonna do 4 more. If you don't need the chair, you're performing this exercise, and then the chair is just there if you need it. 2 more. Last one. Wonderful. So now we're going to plant our right foot down. We're going to have our left foot slightly elevated, and here we go. We're exhaling as we press back. Feel the contraction of the hamstring and the glute maximus, and then gently hover that left foot as you come in. So there is an element of hovering the leg that you're extending back, even when you come in. Keep it suspended. And this is really important because we're working the sagittal plane. So this is forward and back movement. So it translates into a better walking gait and just ease going up and down stairs. And then again, that stabilizing leg. So right now your right leg that's just staying absolutely stable, you're working that glute medius and glute minimus. It's helping stabilize our hips and our knee. One more. Great. Now I'm going to clear my space so that I can show you tightrope walking, or you could think balance beam. For this exercise, you might want to be close to a wall, or you might set up a couple of chairs if you want balance assistance, and then your tightrope or your balance beam would just be really short and you'd turn around. So what we're looking for here is this movement is going to really just work your ankle complex a lot. We are going to begin with just placing one heel in front of the opposite toes. And then just imagine that you're on a balance beam here. You want to look forward as you do this exercise. And then when you run out of space, just turn around, okay? So we're going to be here for 1 minute. Ready, begin. Try to have your shoulders pulled back. We're feeling work in our upper mid back because we have really good posture. And you want to breathe nice and easy as you do this exercise. And you really do want to keep your feet close to one another because that's what's really challenging the balance here. And this really requires a level of control that's extremely beneficial for everyday activities that require a lot of balance. We have 10 more seconds. Wonderful. Okay, so this is our final water break, and we're going to come back and we're going to be finishing with a single leg balance test. Now, the study design that I pulled this from, it did require the subjects to be barefoot. So I know with practicing our exercises, I encouraged you, if it was best for your body, to wear shoes. But if you want to participate in the original study design, at this time, pause the video and let's all have bare feet. If you want to try this balance test with shoes on, just know that your score is going to be a little bit skewed because having shoes on is a more stable environment and it does make balance easier. So grab that water and I'll see you in a sec. We're back with our final exercise for this balance video. We're going to be doing single leg balance. Let's go over the protocol. Your arms need to be crossed right here at your shoulders, and we're going to stand on your right leg first. How you stand is truly dependent on what feels comfortable for you. So some people, you're going to naturally want to elevate your foot forward. A lot of other people, you might take your foot back. So I want you to play around. If I were to say, stand on your right leg, how would you naturally do that, knowing that your left foot has to be slightly elevated? Okay, so you're just playing around with that. Now let's go over what would end the test. So going from your upper body, if your arms move away, even just like this, that's no, you have to stop the time, okay? So your arms have to stay perfectly here. Bottom stable foot. If your foot readjusts in any way, done, stop the time. And then finally, this makes the most sense, if your raised leg taps down, the time has stopped, all right? So what we're looking for is we're gonna have a clock counting up, and I know you might be focusing in on a stable object in your room. As soon as you break the protocol, I want you to look at the time, and that's your time for today. And hopefully we see a nice progression, or at least maintaining your balance as you continue to work with me, okay? Let's go ahead. I'm gonna start the clock. You are going to begin on your right leg down, lift your left leg up, ready, and begin. Stop. Good, that was 45 seconds. So you're given 45 seconds to do the test. So what is average? People in their 50s, they can do about 40 seconds, 60s, 30, 70s, you're around like 20, 22, and then 80s, you're more around like the 9 or 10-second mark. But the protocol was to give everybody 45 seconds because they tested people age 18 all the way up to above 80. So we just did the right leg. It's kind of cool to see a comparison between the sides because you might feel more balanced on one leg and the other, especially if you've had knee replacement, hip replacement, or you have issues with osteoarthritis. So remember the protocol, arms have to stay here. The moment the arms flail away, or the moment the stable leg adjusts, or the moment the leg that's lifted taps down, test is over, okay? So the left leg is going to be down, focus on a stable object. We're putting 45 seconds on the clock. Ready, and begin. Great job. I encourage you to write down the time that you got for your right and your left side, and let's see if you improve over time. Thank you so much for joining me for this balance video, part of our active aging series. Again, I'm Tiffany with New Perspective Fitness, and I'll catch you next time.